Hello and welcome to Activating Magic. I'm here with Shannon Waters. She is an Eden energy medicine practitioner and animal communicator. You heard her bio already, so we'll just dive right in. Shannon, thanks for being here. So, this is a little bit of a unique session because you are going to help me identify some things about my own dog. So, specifically, you love working with humans and their dogs. And I want to, before we dive into that, just start with what had you gravitate toward animals and dogs specifically?
I guess since I was little, I mean, the family story goes that the family dog jumped into my bassinet, and I was always with a dog or two or three or four, and I brought them home, which I wasn't supposed to do. And I've just always been around dogs and horses and other animals. And when I was really little, I I'm pretty sure a lot of things I don't remember from that time, but I was really in tune with the animals in a way that you would call communication.
Hmm. Do you remember as a young kid all the animals, all the dogs? Do you have
All the
pictures of
dogs?
that?
Absolutely. Yes. And I can name a whole bunch of them because I would take pictures of them in the neighborhood. I would take pictures of the dogs and put them in my photo album. I did mostly forget to take pictures of the people, but that's not, it's just because I was focused on the dogs.
And were they talking to you?
Yes, a lot I don't remember again, but I know I remember some of the things I would do with the dogs, silently, and I know that there was that communication.
Mhm.
It's maybe different now, the way I do it as an adult.
Yeah,
I think it is.
yeah. So I know you've added tools to your toolkit, and I'm going to ask you about that also. But you're really passionate about animals having a voice
Yes.
and have some points of view about how maybe we don't honor that. The average human doesn't honor the voice of the animal. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, yes, thank you. I really just remind people to ask the animal's consent because we tend to think that, we call ourselves owners too, and we we have certain views of what that means. Um, and it's really, if we can get ourselves into the habit of paying attention to their body language when we do simple things like say take any size dog, and we are so much larger usually that when we bend over the dog, that from their viewpoint we're looming over them,
Mm.
and if we see them just slightly shift away, if we reach for their head and we see them, lower their head, like every single time, just pay attention. It's like they're saying, I don't want you to do that.
Mm.
So
Like as kids when it's like, go give your aunt a kiss or whatever. Similar.
I remember that as a kid, and it's that kind of, you just expect them to do what we want them to do.
Yeah, yeah. When we think about dog training, the way it's traditionally done, um, how does that play in?
Well, I was a positive reinforcement dog trainer for a long time. And before
Okay.
that, I started off with some of the more traditional methods because it was that time. And that's very much that example of how we just want them to do what we want them to do
Yeah.
when we say it, the moment we say it, and expecting them to understand what we want to without really giving them enough time. Um, so in positive reinforcement training, there's also a little bit of that expectation still, that even though we're using We are going for consent. A lot of trainers will do that. And we are going for paying attention to the animal's emotional health as well, paying attention to their body language. I think we still do the I want you to do what I want you to do exactly at the moment I want you to do it. Like in the household, if you're in sports, that's different, dog sports. But if you just want the dog to be in the human world, that's all you're doing.
Mm,
You're just trying to get the idea across. This is how humans do stuff. You're in our house. You know, it doesn't make sense in dog world what we want you to do, but this is how we want it done.
mm,
Gently over time, you know, give them
yeah,
space to be a dog.
yeah. So I happen to have a preview of your work on your dog's elemental superpower. And like there's even some dogs you shouldn't reward with food, right? Like that's not a good positive reinforcement.
Right, depending on this,
Um,
totally depending on the dog. Maybe that
yeah,
dog would prefer praise, but that's where your own communing with your dog comes in. If you pay
yeah,
attention to what they value most. And some dogs do not like to be touched too. It's like it's distracting. It's like, not right now, we're working. And then some dogs actually like that reassurance, but it's your dog that you're paying attention to.
yeah. And so you have tools to help people pay attention to their
Yes,
dog because
yes.
they may not know really
It's
what they're looking for.
it's interesting how it's not that natural that humans actually do need some training, some body language training, because we will misinterpret some
Yeah.
of the, like the lips pulled back,
Mm,
and they're grimacing. And
mm,
you can see so many pictures on social media of a dog doing this
mm,
and it being captioned as a smile, and they're not smiling. They
yeah,
are very, very anxious. And
yeah.
so that is kind of a gap in
Mm,
our knowledge. And so that's like some basics that I can teach.
yeah. Okay, great. And the goal is really harmony. Like
Yes.
you described, hey, dog, you're living in our house, and therefore we need some harmony for how we all get along here. Yeah. So what are some we'll talk about Ozzy, my dog, my cutie little pitty. But first, what are some ways that harmony might be missing in the home with a dog?
The issues that people tend to have,
Yeah. Yeah.
barking. Again, too, like barking is just one label, but then you need to find out why are they barking.
Mm,
There are so many reasons for barking. When isn't? What happened before that? There are so many different scenarios for barking, and that the it's we humans tend to like go straight for barking and shut it up. That's what we want. We just turn it off. We need to find out
mm.
why, and then we can work on that.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
um, aggression, aggression to people, aggression to other dogs. Of course, house soiling, that's big.
Mm,
And sometimes that is also a miscommunication. There might have been, some misunderstandings on either side during house training. And sometimes there's a reason for it. Sometimes there is a medical reason for it.
yeah. Chewing, maybe.
Chewing, yes. But also, are they a puppy? Right?
Right.
And that's kind of your job is to puppy
Mhm.
proof the house. And if they're older, I mean, getting to the root of whether there's a dental issue, a stomach issue, an anxiety issue, um, to me, you have to get to the root first, and then you know
Yeah.
what tools to use, what other professional help maybe you need.
Yeah. So Shannon, how did you discover, like, how did you put together, you know, communicating with all the dogs in the neighborhood, creating photo albums of them, like your love of dogs with energy medicine? Like, how did you
Oh,
put those together?
well, I guess it was sort of a roundabout way. I was a dog trainer for a long time, and what I would see when I would go out, what you're expecting from a dog trainer is to tell you how to step by step train your dog. But I would go out, and in the first 15 minutes, I would know what we really needed to work
Mhm.
on. So I would go into the house and I would see that actually, the mom is using the dog to give her reassurance. I would see that actually this guy is really lonely and the dog is letting him know that this person he's with is not on the same wavelength or I have a million stories, right? But
Mhm.
what got to me after a while was that I just had a really stupid job because I knew what was wrong. But in a dog trainer setup, I couldn't actually tell
Yeah.
them. I couldn't actually work on that because I was there to train the dog, to teach them how to train the dog. And so that kind of that relationship that I was so
Yeah.
cued into, and it was so important to actually change things. Um, that 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 led into energy medicine because of so much of the energetics of it. I can
Mm.
feel all of this. And then I needed to learn how to then work with that. How do you help balance that? And then I learned how to balance it by meridians, by acupressure, by actually teaching people how to touch their own dog. Like
Mm.
they can do it themselves.
Yeah. So I love that so much. It's my favorite thing ever, Shannon, when someone is in a traditional path, a service role, and they go, "Eh, there's something more here." Like, in addition to doing the service, it's like I'm getting what the energy is. And how do I help people shift their energy? How do I help people become aware of the being that they're putting out in the world? So I love that you've taken these things and put them together. Yeah. Okay, so I, um, when you were talking about, watching the owners, and I'm thinking about my prior dog, Monty. So I had a dog, Monty, who was with me for 16 years. He passed away May of 2020, so like right at the beginning of COVID. But 16 years, he was like my best friend, right? And Monty failed puppy kindergarten. So I took him to like the traditional group training program, right? And all of the other dogs are staring at their owner, waiting for a treat, like following along. Da, da, da. And Monty's like, doo, 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 like paying zero attention and trying to, pick fights with the other dogs, but literally not attentive at all, not food motivated at all. Um, and the woman who ran Puppy Kindergarten gave me the certificate and she said, he really didn't pass, but here you go. And that was it. There was no like additional solution. And so I ended up just keeping him away from other dogs for 16 years. I mean, in his later years, he was better. Like he got along with a few dogs, but he really never got along with dogs. So when you mentioned aggression, it made me think of that. And I'm curious, he's obviously passed on, but he's always with me. Um, what would you say to someone who was experiencing that? Or how would that work?
So to get to the root of that, I would want to tune in with that person. But I
Mhm.
will say with aggression especially, just maybe the people who have come to me, what I find most often is that there is that the issue is they're intertwined, the person and the dog. Their
Mhm.
energies are intertwined. It's not, I'm not going for like it's anybody's fault that anything.
Mhm.
There are all kinds of reasons. And I can use several of my own dogs as examples. One of my dogs, um, Perry, was a foster dog for quite a while because he was quite the little guy, such a
Mhm.
biter. Um, but um, but that aggression, I noticed after a while of living with him, I noticed that every time he would act out against the other dogs, it was because I was repressing my own anger.
Mm.
It was almost instant that
Hmm.
he started being just a complete, he was so rude. He would go up to a dog and bark at them as they were sleeping in their own bed. He was, yes.
Oh,
And
this is
and
within your house.
within my household, and I noticed that I did have a part in this. And
Mm.
so for me, the healing for me was expressing myself,
Mm.
was not repressing that
Okay.
anger. There's nothing wrong with anger,
Mm.
right? Depending on, how you express it, but it needs to be expressed. And then you can see what's underneath that anger. And
Yeah.
so that's what he helped me with. And so
Mm.
as I got the message and as I worked with my own suppression,
Mm.
he started relaxing more.
Wow. I definitely was kind of self-diagnosed being intertwined with Monty because I got him about 6 weeks and he had parvo from the kennel and I didn't know it. And then he got really sick and the kennel said, "Oh, you should just turn him in. We'll euthanize him and get you a new dog." Or I'm sorry, the vet said that. You should bring him back and get a new dog. And I was like, well, we should at least try, right? So I found someone who instructed me how to care for him with giving him Pedialyte every few hours by plunger or whatever. And, I really kind of nursed him 24/7 for about a week and a half or something like that. And so I feel like we created some sort of bond in that time that maybe was a little too much. Yeah.
I don't know about the too much. I think that we learn from each other. I
Yeah.
think that we can learn from them and they are actually learning from us too. And we are affecting each other constantly. And so when they are out of balance, then when they have issues, the best thing we can ever do is to balance ourselves.
Hmm.
And we'll see it.
Yeah. Okay. So if someone comes to you to do a reading for their dog, well, first let's talk about the energy types, the
Okay.
elemental superpowers.
Okay.
Tell us about the four superpowers.
So there are five elements so
Five
this is based
superpowers.
on
Okay.
Chinese five element system. It's not anything new exactly. But I have my own experiences with it. And also I know that there's not a quiz that you can take online like hit the button and get the result. There's not a quiz like that. Um, so I just thought that was needed. Um,
Until
and
now, there hasn't been a quiz
until
like
now, that's right. Um, so we have, I start with water always. Every system starts different, but I go, so there's water, wood, fire, earth, metal, and they all have their own default stress response,
that.
and they all have their own superpower. It's something that they express more than any of the other elements. So if we take Earth,
Mhm.
and Earth's superpower is kindness, and they really are the kindest dogs.
Mm.
There's just something so gentle and sweet about an earth.
So when I took the quiz, Oswald was an earth.
Yes.
So, I resonate with that. He's definitely a sweetie. So what are so kindness is the superpower. And then what's the stress response of earth?
Ah, earth. Earth is worry. And
Mm.
sometimes people have a hard time seeing worry in their dog. Um, but it's like it's genuinely like they have a worried expression on their face, a lot of them. If you have a chow, maybe you can't see that. But it's actually like tension in the forehead and gosh, in the mouth too. You can see the mouth, the lips are tense and maybe they're pulled back, but they're tense. And it's this sort of they fret
Mm.
and they can obsess too. They can sort of focus on one thing and chew in a kind of a one earth dog I can think of would chew, she was mine and she would chew. She wouldn't just chew, she would chew like squares out of a blanket, a really
Wow.
obsessive way. That's very earth. So,
Hmm.
and you can just, it's so painful to think about too, that they're so anxious that they would do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So how would I notice, because Ozzy loves to chew things, how would I notice the difference between, oh, this is fun versus I'm stressed and I'm really obsessively chewing?
I would look at their body language.
Hmm.
I mean, the happy chewing, unless they're guarding, but happy chewing is like the loose body. you know,
Okay.
and they move more when they're
Uh-huh.
chewing, and they can also, depending on the dog, they might be able to leave it for a minute and come back. But
Hmm.
obsessive chewing might not even be they might be whining while they're chewing if they're chewing a bone, and other things might be more obvious, like the blanket chewed into little squares type thing.
Wow.
And I can think of another earth dog who just focused on a drawer. He wanted the thing in the drawer and just focused on the drawer and scraped it's just, I mean, it's painful to think about that they're so anxiously over and over and over. So they can go,
Mhm.
that's pretty far for an earth. Usually they're just sort of worriers. You can see it in their face and they sort of fret.
Mm. Where do you want to go next? Do you want to go to the next element, or do you want to dive in a little more with Ozzy and then come back and circle the other
Well,
element?
since we're talking about earths, maybe
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Great. So, if someone wants to, do a session with their dog, what's that look like? Let's bring Ozzy in.
Okay.
And yeah, what would you need to know from me, or what would you need to know from him?
So first, I don't really need to know anything.
Okay.
And actually that helps a great deal, the less I know, so that I may ask questions as we go because I don't know anything.
Yeah.
But also um mostly what it helps is that helps the client. Um, because if I bring up something that's right on, it helps
Yeah.
them know that I'm actually
Right.
connecting with their dog.
Yeah.
So first, I'll remind myself too, I have a whole ritual right before
Mhm.
a session so that I'm grounded and centered and clear as I can be. That's mostly my job, just being clear. And then I help the client. Kind of sometimes they're uh, anxious about the situation, and I help
Yeah.
them also get grounded. And then the next most important thing is to ask the dog whether they would like to participate. And then,
Mhm.
and it really is just to tune in and asking for consent. And so most dogs say yes. Some dogs are right, their energy is like right in the middle right away. They can't wait. And now I also communicate with cats, and occasionally a cat is not ready. They want something else done first. So
Mm,
it's rare, but it is possible, that the animal's like,
mm,
no, no,
yeah.
not right now, later maybe. But
Right.
usually dogs are like, yes, let's go.
Okay.
So if that's okay with you, I can ask Ozzy.
Yeah.
And so if you don't mind silence or two here. So yeah, I get a yes from Ozzy. I get a yes. It does, yeah, it's kind of a languid yes.
Hmm. Okay.
And so do you have a question?
Hmm. I think my first question, obviously we've talked about Ozzy. Um, he had a digestive issue over the weekend. So my first question would be, is he better?
Better in what way?
Does he feel okay does his stomach feel okay?
So, the first thing I I actually get that he doesn't feel that great.
Mm,
Um, that there's an ongoing, it's like there's an ongoing disturbance,
okay.
there.
Okay. So then I guess the next question, ongoing like since the weekend or ongoing?
Yeah, it feels like it's still there, whatever it was. And so here is where I would tune in to the energetics of the situation.
Hmm.
Um, so I could see so I can see the imbalance. And sometimes I will do a body scan,
Hmm.
and sometimes I will, it's like the meridians kind of jump out at me.
Okay.
Um, and these are meridians and not necessarily organs.
Hmm.
Um, because I'm asking about the energy. And so, and then there's that holding again. And so for me, what comes through for me is like a holding, um, it's a disturbance. It feels like a twist, but I don't mean that to be like a literal, gastric torsion type of thing. I am
Hmm.
asking about the energy of it. And so so for me, I actually feel this, and it feels, yeah, it's like a tightening, and it feels very emotional. It feels
Hmm.
very emotional. Um, it almost, I'm asking about, what he's ingested, and what I'm getting back is it doesn't even, that isn't, it's like it doesn't even matter what he ate. It's it's
Hmm.
emotional. This
So it's not
and
like a
there's this
stick is in there or something.
mm, it's and again it's a holding.
Hmm.
And we visited holding in Aussie before. And again
Yeah.
it's this,
Yeah. So
it's
let's let
tight.
listeners in around that
Yes.
earth dog, because they are um, sensitive, can use holding, like Ozzy was holding, like drinking excessive amounts of water um, to kind of balance and hold emotion. Yeah. So this is connected to that.
It is connected. It's definitely connected. The way
Okay.
this feels, which doesn't mean there isn't also, something that needs to change in the diet. That's a different question.
Mm.
And the
Okay.
reason I asked the energetic question is that you can change diet and not address the root. So I asked for about the energy first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I can really feel this in his case. It's like if he's not doing one sort of holding, he's going to be doing another.
Mm.
And so he's really, it's this responsibility. It's this family responsibility. And that's a thing about the earth dogs too. Earth people do this. Um, where when you hurt, they hurt. I mean,
Mm.
they feel it. And so they try to balance, dogs will try to balance things. People kind of tend to, if they're not balanced in themselves, they want to fix.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the fixers.
Mm-hmm.
And the dogs do it their own sort of way.
Mm.
And it's really, yeah, it's a pretty uncomfortable feeling. And I'm
Is
not going to keep this, by the way. When I
yeah,
when I do this right, it just comes through for the information and then it leaves me.
yeah. Is there anything to do about his food? Does he like his food?
Um, it's interesting. Now, here's where I like to ask you a question because the first thing I get is that it's not as tasty, it's not as interesting as something he's had before. This food is kind of like it's or he's not paying that much attention to the food too. He's so he's so he's so responsible. He's so into doing this job. Um that is actually sort of coloring his
Mm.
outlook sometimes.
Okay. He seems healthier since he's had the new food in terms of his coat and his weight and his like
Oh,
he doesn't care, basically.
It's it it's I'm getting that whatever was the food before was to his to his taste and interest was better to him. But
Okay.
also here's the thing that here's where we come in, right? And that's that our kids may love donuts in the same way,
Right.
that's our job is to make sure they get nutrition.
Got it. Um, is there a way to know how long this holding thing has been his job?
Mm. Since he came.
Since
Yeah,
since he
it
came
feels
to
like
Earth?
it's since he came to the family, since he came,
Okay.
you're the family.
Okay.
And now the family's bigger, but also you are, you know, you are
His
there's
favorite.
nobody more glorious than you to Ozzy. You are it. So so that's important too. Um,
Mm.
he's going to he's going to prioritize you.
Hmm.
Um, and so the next question, obvious question is how do we help you with this? Um, so what we can do here is that we can tune in and you can too anytime. You can tune in to Ozzy and remind him that this is not actually, hmm, okay, so he's going to take it on anyway. Um,
Yeah, that's what you had said before. Like maybe the thing I can do is help him ground it. And
yes, you can help him release it because he's gonna do it. He's gonna take it. So you can start from behind his ears and just sweep off his body and off his tail and just give him a sweep, like with the intention, let's just let this energy go. You can give him a sweep down each leg, just let this energy go. Um, And then I had also mentioned the spinal energy flash for him,
Mhm. Mhm.
which would be hard to show on a podcast,
Yeah, a
but
lot of people are listening.
yeah. Um,
Also, when I did that, he did not really appreciate it.
yeah. Okay, so that's another thing. Yeah, some
He
dogs are
was
like, "Wait,
like, huh?
sorry? Yeah. Why are you touching me that way? You're touching me deliberately. I don't like it." Yeah. So you can also do it. So he may not like this either. You can do it in the field, like
Like
just
draw.
above
Okay.
his spine, on either side of his spine. You can do it just above, see what he thinks about that. Um, the sweeping is going to be the important thing. And you can just be petting him, pet, 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 sweep, so that he doesn't, think it's a deliberate treatment you're doing.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that he would want me to know?
Well, just love. So, so that part doesn't feel like an imbalance. So it just feels like a
Mhm.
lot. It feels very steady. It feels, um, for you, it's like it blooms. And he loves others, but for you, it's it's so much, but it's also very steady. And the responsibility part is the part that feels imbalanced.
Mhm.
It's not love. He's not doing this out of love exactly. He's doing this out of some sense of responsibility. So what I would want to do actually, which would be a lot of these things are impossible to do in, the next 5 minutes.
Mhm.
They are better over time.
Mhm.
Over time, balancing meridians, which is the cool part about doing that, is that when you do have stagnation and you release that, the behavior changes, that
Mhm.
responsibility changes. What I
Mm.
would do is test him, and also ask for the most important thing to come to my attention. But test these energies, see which ones we need to work with. And I would have you actually hold acupressure points. Um, and there are ways to do this where, that it's not a treatment that he's going to um, not appreciate.
Dislike.
Yes, yes. And a lot of dogs do this. As soon as it feels like they're at the vet, they are out of there. They don't,
Mm.
yeah. So, but there are ways to sort of ease into it, do a little, you know, and then come back. And there are ways to do it.
Okay. And then I'm assuming from my end, being balanced helps him.
Yes.
Um, yeah, is there anything else?
Not perfect. None
Yeah.
of us, we're all the time. Balanced here, balanced, we're all
Yeah.
doing this all the time. And it may be as simple as breathing or or reminding yourself not to rush at ABC or something. It may be really simple.
Mm, beautiful. Okay. I want to ask about the other elements. I'm hearing the recommendation to do some sessions over time, and I'm sensing, you had suggested the laser acupressure. Um, but I'm hearing we could do that just as easily together.
Yes, yes. Now I love, yeah, the laser acupressure, and especially when things come through that strongly for me, I'm like, whoa, you're really,
Yeah.
really go after this one.
Okay. Got it. Is there anything we need to do to close up the energy with Ozzy to go on to teach about the other?
Yeah, usually what I like to do is, well, I'll ask you if there's anything else,
Mm. Nope, that feels complete for today.
and then I ask him.
Okay.
Um, and he's done. Often too, I'll feel it. Even if there are more questions, I'll feel that it's like, oh, we're finished. So it's like they're done for today. Thank you very much.
Cute. Um, okay, so with this experience with Earth Dog, like, are there things that you notice that are typical that you'd want to highlight for listeners
Typical for Ozzy or
for an Earth
typical
Dog?
for an Earth dog. More than what I've said. They are I think what's so especially so sweet about them is that they can be um they're in tune with like smaller dogs, little kids that don't have the same, they know it. If be careful with dogs and kids always, but like they can handicap themselves, so that they are not too much for the smaller being, whoever that is.
Mm,
And they really, um, they, I had an earth dog who was my ambassador dog
mm,
because I had a lot of foster dogs in and out of the house. And every time a foster dog would come in, that's pretty overwhelming for the new dog. And I sent her out first because she would match that dog's
mm,
abilities and be
mhm,
gentle and
mhm,
to just bring that dog into the family.
mm. I love that. I can see that with Oz. He's so like acts like a little dog around the little dogs.
Oh.
Okay, so let's talk about metal. Can we talk about metal? Because that's one I don't know about.
Okay. And actually, I haven't had a lot of metal dogs myself. And so when I tuned into these guys, I tuned into each I just when I was writing these reports, it was just so much effort. And then I tuned into the dogs, and they were like, here's what it's like to be a fire. Here's what it's like to be a water. And I was like, oh, you guys had the information all along. Thank you very much. And then all of a sudden it was really easy. And when I tuned into metal, it was especially helpful not knowing a lot about them because they internalize emotions, they internalize pain.
Mm,
And so a lot of humans don't see that on the outside, and yet they've got it all inside. And they look more tolerant than they're feeling more than they're showing.
mm,
Um, it's, I don't know if I can even do it justice because what they gave me, uh, so I'm trying to remember all of it. What they gave me was so much better. Um, um, I actually have it at hand. Would it be okay if I like read
sure.
a couple
Yep.
of because I actually have this right here and I have metal. Um, and some of the things that were okay, I love this part. Um, it's the explaining predictability as compared to routine, and they're letting me know that it's not routine that they're after because routines that don't vary they can't abide. But what they want is so I've got okay, it's not routine we're looking for. We're looking for predictability in each system. There is a difference between predictable and boring. We like schedules, but we don't like the same old, same old. Like a fast cat race. Predictable is knowing that I will be let go to run a straight path to my person as fast as I can. Then we will leave the field. But every race has a different dogs, different weather, different smells, track, etc. Schedules, rules in systems, yes. Repeated routines that don't vary, no.
Mm. Okay, interesting.
And then I got that they trust in predictability. Um, and we flourish with that baseline. So it's the baseline
Mm.
that they want it's that security in that predictability, but it
Mm.
better not be the same all the time.
Okay, interesting. And what kind of like behavior issues might a metal have if their person isn't harmonious with them?
Um, they're going to, since they internalize emotions, it's probably going to come out in physical issues.
Mm.
Um, it's not necessarily going to be the metal element issues, which are like skin and respiratory issues. Typical lungs and skin, typical for metals.
Hmm.
It may come out that way, um,
Okay.
but also it may not. But that would be imbalance in metal meridian. So that would be the energies of the metal meridian. Um, I did get a lot of things about for them. I did get what they're calling electrics, and
Hmm.
um, I'm gonna say nervous system there, and it may be that internalizing emotions, internalizing pain, um, and they sort of disconnect too. They will the human metal tends to detach. That's their stress response will be um, detaching and sort of taking a wider
Mhm.
view
Yeah.
um, to try to understand what's going on, to try to have some control over what's going on. But in the dog, that's where that internalizing things, and they need alone time. They don't want to be alone,
Mm.
right? They're not trying to be alone, but they need periods of alone time to be in their own energy, to to recharge, reset. So they really need that. And they're also not very touchy-feely dogs.
Hmm.
So like so 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 I would be really really paying attention to their body language. Like, do you want me to touch you right now? No. Then no, right? And
Okay.
especially when they're working, like don't touch me.
Mm. Okay. Let's pick one more. What's your favorite that you would want to talk about? And then we'll direct people to the quiz to find out which
Okay.
of the five. Yeah, and they can get
I love them all. Um, um, I get the waters because I'm primary water. Um, so I get them. And um, I guess the thing about the waters, though, what's interesting about them is that, well, that people don't get them. I think that's the most interesting
Mm.
thing is that, um, and maybe because I don't understand it, because I do, but other people tend
Okay.
to pass them off. You
Okay.
know, they tend to turn them into shelters and not know
Mm.
how to deal with them. And then they pick up more behavior issues. And then, they're seen as the problem dogs or just the scared dogs.
Yeah. So what are they like?
Um, so a water imbalance is it's like you can look at them and wonder what else they know about the cosmos.
Ah, okay.
You can look them in the eye and then sort of be drawn in and go,
Mm.
Wow. Um, they are very, very, very sensitive. That is their superpower.
Mm,
Because when they use it in a harmonious way, they are sensitive to you, and you can see it in them.
mhm,
You can see how they respond to you, and how sensitive they are to everything coming in. They
mhm,
can they hear, they see, they and things you wouldn't even like way outside the household. They just know things.
mm,
So when they're balanced, they flow.
mm. So they would maybe bark at things far away because they are hearing more than,
They might.
okay.
They might. Yes, but to let you know as well. So they're very helpful.
Mhm. Um, I have so many questions that I want to ask. Um, when you do water dogs like to be pet?
Yes, if you're their person,
Mm,
they don't necessarily like strangers to pet them. They
mhm,
want to be with people they already know they can trust.
mhm. Ooh, this makes me think of if you know your dog's type, when for me, when I'm walking the dog, constantly people are like, oh, is he friendly? Can my dog come say hi? And I have learned it through traditional dog training, like just generally, no, don't do that. Because, that's like forcing something upon them. But then if someone's like, "Oh, can I pet your dog?" Like, is there a guideline by type as to whether they like to be pet by strangers?
I would say to pay attention to the dog. It's like
Hmm.
no matter what type they are, um, pay attention to their body language, and it will be subtle too. Are they going toward the person? But then there are all kinds of reasons to go toward the person too. A typical reason a dog will go toward a stranger is just to collect information. They
Mm.
actually do not want to be touched. They
Hmm.
want to know, okay, who are you?
Want to
Where
sniff their
have you
butt?
been? Well, sniff their clothes. So they just want the information. They don't necessarily want to be physically engaged with,
Mm.
but you can see that in them.
Yeah.
You can see them step back. You can see them, move their head away from the person, and that's a no.
Mhm. Okay, so there's so much to learn. If and you mentioned I'm a water, so I get waters. So is that a thing? Like if someone knows their own element and the dog's element, there's a way, kind of like a communication style
I
situation.
I think it's really helpful. And mainly I think it's helpful because if you're trying to change a water into a go-getter kind of a dog, it's not going to happen.
Mhm.
And you
Yeah.
so relax.
Yeah. Or
It-
like Ozzy, it being Earth, he's sort of like in his own time, he's going to listen. Um, and I'm guessing that's a characteristic. Like I
it
know
is.
if I say, Ozzy, come, like he's going to sniff five more things and then he will come, but he's not going to come exactly when called. And, you know, for the most part, that doesn't feel problematic. I'm like, okay, I kind of know that that's just how he is, even though I would prefer he just respond right in this moment. Um, is that, I feel like there's a question there. Um, like learning your type versus your dog's type can help you kind of know, is this a behavior problem or is this just their personality?
Definitely. And then it's up to you
Yeah.
too. It's like even without knowing your elemental type, knowing your dogs, and you know that, well, that's probably kind of their personality, then it's up to you. It's like, do I need this? How much do I need them to respond to my recall right away. I mean, sometimes this could be a safety issue too.
Yeah.
And so that's where you make the decision. Do we put the effort into getting an instant recall because of safety?
Mhm.
I think you can still do that while respecting the earth. So you can, it's up to you.
Okay. It's like a negotiation.
Um, with allowing them to be themselves as I think I really think you can have both.
Mm.
In this example where you want a recall for safety reasons, say,
Yep.
it's really important to train that. And then at other times, you might have your emergency recall, and then you might have your, hey, come
Mhm.
here.
Got it. So Shannon, we're going to put the quiz below in the show notes, vibrantbeing.net/quiz, so people can come and assess their dog and learn their elemental superpower. Who's right to work with you? Like if someone's got something going on with their dog, like what are the cases you like to work with the most?
Oh, really, yeah, especially emotional issues, especially between the dog and the person. Physical issues as well. Transitions, moving to a new house. The dog just came in. The dog just lost sight, or some major transitions are to a really good time to check in with an animal communicator anyway. But I like to work with people who can it's going to take some sessions, to get into balance and also to learn some tools that you can use yourself. Those are cool. So really it's yeah,
Mm.
as long as they're dogs.
Yeah. So it helps the human along with the dog.
That's that's yeah, that's really what I do best.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon. I so appreciate you. And thank you for sharing your magic. And we got to get a taste of how it works. If someone has a magic like yours, they can sense, like, oh, I talk to animals or I can read like this. What advice would you have for them if they haven't explored it?
Yes, you can. I think it's a natural skill we all have, a natural we came into this world with it, and the world just teaches us to dampen it and deny it, but we all actually have the ability. It's just that some of us, get nerdy about it and only want to do that.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you for who you are in the world. Thanks for being here. And we'll see everyone on the next episode of Activating Magic. Bye, everyone.